inim hemyuma kalautiwama. Inwana kisa tiskat il belt titoka timki. Ka soyapo timki when the king was Harry Slickpoo Jr. I just wanted to say these few words here today and let you know that my name is Tiskat il belt titoka timki and my English name is Harry Slickpoo Jr. I am 38 years old, enrolled member of the Nez Perce tribe, and I come from the Whitebird Band, or Lamata, of Nez Perce people. I grew up in Kamiah, Idaho, and I currently reside in Clarkston, Washington. I just wanted to talk here in a few words in our own language about the place names that we've been able to visit here in Nez Perce country. We've stopped at some very significant sites, starting out at Seminicum. We started out at Lewiston at the confluence where the Himakitskus, Ka Pikunen, the Clearwater and the Snake meet each other. We made it all the way up towards Wayakinwaspa, Doug Bar, where the Nez Perce people crossed in 1877. And that word means a place where you can cross the river on your feet by walking across. Wayakinwaspa. Another place that we stopped was Imnaha. Imnaha, and the Nez Perce people that lived there were called Imnama. And the last stop we were at was also a significant place where old people come from at Tamanma Aitwawi, the mouth of the salmon, where it meets Sakanma, where the gorge people, or the people who inhabited the Hell's Canyon, what we call Hell's Canyon today. I really liked being able to, like right across the river from us is the Nez Perce, parts of the old Nez Perce Trail, and it's what we say hata'au. It's very a great experience to be able to see this isket, this trail here along the Snake River where our people used to travel. So it's really good to see these places and go in these areas where our ancestors made a life for themselves. And so just being able to be here and experience other people's point of view and about Nez Perce life is very important, that we get a well-rounded knowledge about who we are and where we come from.
Inamas winik ya kakil pil Walt Wama was Nespilampa Konihwa. Hello, I'm Dewey Davis. I'm from Nespilam, Washington, of the Chief Joseph Band. I'd just like to say that it's been nice these past few days visiting these sites that we've been to, and many of them I haven't been there before, but there are areas of that are known to be where the Nez Perce Joseph Band either crossed through or went through. It's very touching in a way, because what our people went through when they left their homes. It's hard to explain in English, and but it's even I think what made it really good is having my two little ones with me. They're my two youngest children, Zola Davis and Hattie Davis. I named my youngest child Hattie after my great-grandmother, Hattie Andrews, Hattie Red Star Andrews. I descend from Chitsiu El Pilp. It was Willie Red Star Andrews. He was raised by young Joseph Willie was said to have been born while they were in exile in Oklahoma. His father died down there in Oklahoma, and when they came back to the Pacific Northwest, his mother died. After that, he was raised by Chief Joseph and Chief Joseph's 2 wives. Very much of the history was, told over and over to my grandmother, Agnes Andrews Davis. So to me, it's very important that our history lives on. It's known that our histories are mostly orally handed down. And so that's what we do. But to me, the important part is the language, that we carry on our language, but also our beliefs. Our beliefs is what got us through the war. Our beliefs every day, singing our songs, is what carried our people through those tough times. And I just want to thank our fellow language people that came along. Some of them remind me of words that I tend to forget sometimes. But I also want to thank Rich and Roger and Ellen for having us on this trip, educating us on the geographical names for the rocks and the landscapes, how they formed. And to us, it's just all our home. It's in our way, we are said to be from our land. We don't own our land. We are where our people come from. That's why I said in the beginning, I'm Waltwama. My bloodline that I was mostly raised to know is Waltwama, the Joseph band, what we call Walasat. That's what we carry on to this day at Niimiipuu in our longhouse. And that's what has carried me through my life. I was raised by my grandmother because both my parents passed away when I was young. So the Walasat way of life helped me through many times of loneliness. But hearing our history and learning the language has really helped me to be who I am today. So I just want to give thanks again for this opportunity to be on these site tours and be of any help that I can possibly be to educate the non-Indians as well as our own people. Our own people have a lot to learn about what bands they come from, the land they come from, the people they descend from, and what our people have been through. I would think that the 2 landscapes, the sites that stood out to me was the mouth of the Waliwa, the Grand Round, that was said to be a wintering grounds for the Joseph band, the Waltwama people. They were called Kamuinu. The Kamuinu and the Waltwama are the same people. One was just a wintering ground, and the other one up higher was the summer grounds. But also the Dugbar, that crossing feel a little bit of heaviness there, when you go there, because our people went through there one last time. They crossed that crossing one last time without knowing, they'll never see the Walawa country again.
Aha touch kulawit wa inim wanigt wailit putimtki wanigt he was pitamyanan max Kakustita Enim Soyapotimki Wanig Philip Kashkash. My traditional name is Pitam Yanan Max Max, which translates as Yellow Hawk, and that's a Cayuse name. I'm originally from Nikiawe, which is in Oregon, and my father was Cayuse and my mother is Niimiipuu Nez Perce from Lenore, Idaho. And I am a younger speaker of Nez Perce, having grown up with my grandparents, and from them I acquired the language. And my English name, of course, is Philip Kashkash. And today we're on the Snake River at the mouth of the Imnaha waterway that enters into the Snake River. And I just wanted to speak about the significance of the places that we've been visiting. And many of the elders have given Nez Perce place names for these places, and the characteristic of these places and the names in particular really talk about the spatial arrangement of these places in relation to the waterway and the canyon and the mountain system, but they also contain characteristics of the culture in relation to how the people understood these places in relation to a prior mythic time frame. And so we get impressions about that world overlaying the current one that we're currently inhabiting as modern people. So there's this relation between these two particular time frames, the mythic and the present moment. So in addition to that is the idea that these places were also characteristic of a group of people, meaning that their continued occupation of these lands and the repeated use of these places indicated that they were belonging to this particular group. And so they had that characteristic as well. And so people understood that these places were utilized by this group and not some other group. So they had to recognize that group had prior usage rights and so on to those places. In addition to these places, they also had significance to other groups coming in. So there were recognition from non-Nez Perce groups that came into this region. They understood that Nez Perce utilized and occupied these areas as well. So there was all this underlying significance to these places and how they were accessed by each of the groups outside from other areas. In addition, some of these places also indicate our understanding of space, and they also describe particular aspects of space from a perceptual standpoint, but in that is an underlying meaning system that is unique to the Nez Perce, Cayuse, and other groups that came here. That cognitive understanding emerging out from the language gives a deeper meaning to these places, understood from that deeper inner cognitive viewpoint. And that kind of viewpoint can't be found elsewhere because it's unique to the Nez Perce and to the groups that came here, and they understood that from a deeper perspective. And today we're coming to understand that cognitive, deeper meaning system and how that space was structured within the current world
as a geographical space, as a cultural space, and as a mythic space, and they give us that meaning, and we have to kind of step back and reflect, because now our current modern understanding has all this other type of spatial arrangement, so we have to kind of step back and understand how our ancestors perceived these places. And so that is part of what we're doing today and yesterday, and perhaps in the future when we start to bring all this information together, we'll have a better, deeper understanding of the meaning of all of these places. And it's really important that we include the language when we do this kind of investigation, because the language is the key, the deeper key to understanding a lot of what we're now seeing and experiencing and accessing today. So I just wanted to summarize some of these places and kind of the general significance of them as we start to name and show and demonstrate that this is where our ancestors both lived and accessed these points of interest. And so I'm really honored to be here, because one of the other aspects and significance to coming here is us as modern people are now accessing these places again and again, and we are acquiring an important meaning from these places. And that kind of interaction is really important. We can't just talk about them and study them. We have to come here and experience these places. That's why it's so important that what we're doing today, all of our future generations should come to these places and see for themselves how our ancestors once interacted with this world. So that's a really important message I want to convey, because it gives you a really good feeling to know that my ancestor canoed this river, they walked in these areas, and now I can now respect and honor that and know that I am a part of this place as well. So that message is really important as well. So thank you for this opportunity, and himakas katsiayo ata ka wakipa nunim titluma hitauyatina kinaki watas pa ka kayuk pikunin walapa ka oikaloma titluma hiwanakin sakanma oikalo kina hitauyatina wakipa. The older ancestors were called sakanma, and they are part of this landscape, and we are honoring them today and walking and going along the river system where they also traversed. And so I'm very honored to share this with you today. Katsiayo, thank you.
My grandmother used to have a big kind of a like celebration of life. They'd all get together and then they went their separate ways. Some went up the river, some went down the river to collect their food. They started gathering their roots and go hunting, fishing, upriver, downriver, fish downriver, upriver, and the woman would go out and dig roots on the hills all the way down to the Lucin area, and some would go this other way towards Joseph and Joseph area. Then they'd all, she told me they all made their way back down towards Lucin area, and like I said when I first started the story, where they used to have horse races right there, they'd spend a week there, and then they'd do the same thing. They'd have another big feast, and then they'd go separate ways. Some would go up the mountains, they'd then go to different sections of the mountains to dig the roots that come later. There's a mountain, there's a root called Kaus. It goes in a higher, it comes up in a higher mountain area, and then you dig that, and then you know, different times of the year they dig a certain root every year. And then the fish, they follow the fish. What they do is follow the fish upstream, downstream. That was upstream while they're going up. They follow it all the way to the Salmon River. They follow the salmon. And they dig roots at the same time. They make camp areas in all different places. That's the way the Nez way was back. This is back in the 1970s, 1870s, 80s. My grandmother, when she was young, and that she's told me that's how her travels, and they'd all end up around Clarkie area. Tealcolam, they call it Tealcolam. That's in Clarkie area. They pick huckleberries. That's the last part of it. But another part of the story is, she'd collect all of the roots, then we'd go down to Celilo. We'd move down to Celilo and we'd stay down Celilo for 2 weeks, 3 weeks sometimes, because my two uncles, Bill Johnson, Alec Johnson, they used to fish down there, and my grandmother would go down there and trade her roots, and we'd stay down there with the chief them days, and we'd sleep in a long house, long tent, there was a house, long house. We'd sleep there, and when I was just a little boy, I'll tell you a story about the mean woman again. There used to be a little concrete building, so 10, 20, 12 by 20 or something like that. And there's 4 of them. And different families had each one of them. In our family, I always get one old lady. She would be she'd be our watcher, what do you call it? And she would whip us all the time. We was little. Even if we looked at because that falls was really loud and you could hear it. I could still hear it in my mind, just a steady roar all the time right there by the river. And if we even went down towards the river, we'd get our whipping. You know, that's my starting my story. But that's and that was then I got to about 8 years old, and I got to go across the thing in Celilo and carry fish back to the ice chest with my uncles. They used to have a little thing that used to go across the rapids like that, and it was like that. We'd go there and we'd pull ourselves across, like go across. And we was about 10, 12, 11 years old. Then my grandma, one year, my uncles told me, yeah, next year you can fish. Why can't? Yeah, you can come down and fish with us. Okay, next year. And that next year, I was waiting when this time of the year was ready to go down. And I asked my grandmother, how come we're not going to Celilo? How come we're not going to Celilo? And she jumped up and she started crying. Why is she crying? And I had to go out and I went outside. Asked my grandfather, how come she's crying? He looks at me, there's no more Celilo. And I didn't get to fish, so that's my story on that. And my grandmother, she took it, really broke her heart, to lose that, taking part of your life right there,